Hey there, my friend. Welcome back. This is Dr. Anthony Balduzzi, founder here at the Fit Father Project and the Fit Mother Project. In today's video, we are going to cover a simple routine and stretches for people who sit all day, which is pretty much everyone these days. And the human body is really not designed to sit for prolonged periods of time. It's designed to be upright, to be active, and be dynamic. And a lot of things happen to our body when we sit all the time. That's why so many of us have back pain. We have tight hip flexors, tight glutes, our neck is forward like this. And they honestly call it like computer posture, right? Where you see everyone kind of like hunch forward like this, and it's a real thing because it's the postures that our body is in the majority of the time that kind of dictates our overall muscle tone and balance. So we want to shoot this video to give you our three-step philosophy on how we approach lengthening and opening up the body and getting the body moving, especially if you do sit all day. And this is a simple routine I'm actually going to demonstrate in the gym behind me that you can follow along or download this video and use it for later, that you can actually help to improve your body. And what this is going to do for you is you're going to feel more open in the chest, you're going to be able to breathe more deeply, you're going to reduce your back pain. This is the kind of stuff that happens when you get your body functioning better, especially if you sit all day. So I know you're going to learn a ton in this video. Get out your pen and paper, take some notes, and let's dive on in.
FitFatherProject.com.
All right, so before we get into the actual gym and go through this routine, I want to talk to you about the concept of how we're actually going to approach stretches for people who sit all day. And the first thing is certain stretches. And there are certain muscles in our body that get particularly tight when we do sit for a long period of time. And those muscles are your hip flexors, primarily your iliopsoas and your rectus femoris. And these are the long muscles that attach on your spine and then attach to your femur. And what they do is they create this motion right here. And we're sitting all day, we're in this kind of like 90-degree position, and those muscles get short. And when they get short, that pulls on our low back. That's why a lot of people have low back pain. It's why a lot of people, and to exacerbate it, when you wear high heels if you're a woman and you have a lift, and then you have what's called an anterior pelvic tilt where this area becomes even shorter, then we have a lot of pain in our back. We feel like we're stiff. Our hips are always hunched forward, really not good. So we're going to stretch out those hip flexors. We're also going to stretch out a muscle called the piriformis, which is one of the muscles in the glute that helps us externally rotate or open up our legs essentially like this. And those muscles get tight secondary to the fact that our hip flexors get tight. And one of the main nerves that runs basically right through the piriformis is the sciatic nerve. So a lot of people who have, shooting, radiating pain down the back of their legs, a lot of it can be due to piriformis tightness. And there are very, very, very few people who don't have some degree of piriformis tightness, so we're going to stretch it with a very particular stretch in this routine. And then we're also the pecs. The pecs get tight, and so does the neck. So the pecs and the neck are rolling forward because we're hunched forward at a computer. The neck is forward, so these neck flexors and the pecs are all rolled forward, our shoulders are rolled forward. So we're going to stretch all of that out. After we stretch, we're going to mobilize. And what mobilize means is we're going to move those muscles and those bones and those joints through active ranges of motion. And also when it comes to sitting, we're also going to decompress the spine. So when we're sitting, there's actually more force, shearing force on the spine. Your spine is essentially a series of almost, you can think of them as Lego blocks with little discs in between. And when we're sitting, there's a lot of downward pressure on those discs, particularly the discs in the low back. And so we're going to actually stretch that out and mobilize that through some hanging and some other mobilization exercises. And finally, we're going to strengthen. We're going to strengthen the muscles that open up the chest so that we maintain better posture. When we have stronger muscles that are resisting all of the forward motion of sitting, we're going to be able to have better posture all day. So stretch, mobilize the spine, strengthen. That is our big picture philosophy, and I have all the things we're going to do right now in the gym. So it's an amazing routine. You can even follow along with me as we're doing this, or you can just download this. I know you're going to enjoy this. So let's head over to the gym right now and let's get into the first part of this, stretching the hip flexors. All right, so let's start off our routine with the stretching section, which we're going to start with the hip flexors. So again, the hip flexors are those muscles that attach the spine to the femur, and their goal is when those muscles contract and shorten, it brings the leg up. So we're going to lengthen this. So essentially to stretch the hip flexor, you want to create as much length between these 2 points as possible. So we're going to stretch the left one first, which essentially means getting back into a position just like this, creating length. And now I want to hip my hip back and get that hip nice and extended, so creating length. I like to take my hand behind my head for added length and rotate slightly away. You'll know it when you get there. I'm driving my heel into the back of the floor. I'm creating length through here. I'm extending up and I'm rotating away, creating maximum length between here. And keeping that heel nice and firm, that the hip and the glute is engaged, and I'm holding right here. We're gonna hold this, normally when you're doing this, you'd hold this for around, let's just say 60 to 90 seconds each side. And what you want to do is focus on your breathing and relax. Relax into that, create more length through. You can use your hand to feel through. You can wiggle around a little bit, but just creating length through here. Then we're gonna go to the other side. Foot comes back, create that stretch so that hips comes through. We're starting to create more length between these 2 points. Hand comes up, rotate away, rotate up. Creates nice length through there, driving that back heel into the floor, creating the length, sitting up and back, breathing. 60 to 90 seconds this side. So we'll do 60 to 90 seconds each side. If you feel like you'd like to go through the hip flexor stretch again, you totally can. 60 to 90 seconds. Then we're gonna get into our next stretch, which will be the Piriformis. My favorite way to stretch the Piriformis is with the pigeon pose. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come down here. We're gonna take this leg and we're gonna basically create like a 90-degree angle here. And we're gonna stack the hip on top. So I'm almost sitting down on this piriformis right here. You'll feel it right here. It's the muscle that runs from your sacrum over to the head of the femur. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna sit here just like this. Put your hands down or wherever. If you can only sit up, that's fine, but want you to relax into this right here. You can wiggle around on the sides if you want to. Just feeling around the different areas. It's kind of, I call it like painting the corners of this arc. You can sit away, you can sit forward, but just feel that piriformis stretch and sit into it. The idea here is you're almost gonna let gravity pull your body down. And you're sitting here, and this is the muscle we're stretching right here. You're definitely gonna feel it. You can also play around with the angle that you're creating with your leg. You can move the leg a little more up and sit like this. You can move it more back. I want you to find what feels best for you. You're gonna get more stretch out of the piriformis, the more your foot is a little more in this 90-degree-ish position, but I wanna make sure that this feels good on your knee. And you're stretching this side again for around 60 to 90 seconds. We're gonna switch to the other leg. So again, we're gonna first create that 90-degree position, 90-90, then you're gonna stack up on top of it. So my hips and my pelvis are level. So you can see my hips are level on top of the floor, and I'm sitting down into that piriformis, and then I relax into it. Sitting down, relaxing, holding that glute, just like this. Sitting down and breathing, painting those different corners of the angles. If you feel any knee pain, adjust your position, but you want to sit here, relax that muscle, just like this, 60 to 90 seconds. Our next stretch, we're going to work our way up the body here. We're going to stretch out the pecs, because the pecs get really tight too, because when we're in the seated position, we're hunched forward, right? We're like this, so that pec gets tight. So we're going to do a classic, what we consider a doorway stretch for the pecs. You can do it one at a time or both at a time. I'll do both at a time here. But essentially, we're gonna get the pec in this kind of position. We're gonna sit in a doorway, we're gonna lean forward. So what we're doing is we're creating length between the origin of the pec here on the sternum, on the clavicle, and the insertion here onto the arm. So we're gonna go just like this, sit open, feel that nice gentle stretch, taking a big breath in, expands the rib cage, you're gonna get an even better stretch. I like to wiggle it around just a little bit. Now you can absolutely do it again, single arm like this, pin the arm, open this way, that works too. You can play around with the position. This is higher, this is lower. You might feel a little more biceps down here. Doesn't matter what position you take, just make sure you feel it in your pecs. Open those suckers up, relax into the stretch. You feel like you can go farther over time, just like this. 60 to 90 seconds. And then we're gonna stretch finally our neck flexors. So we have flexors and extensors in our neck. Flexors flex the head forward, extensors extend the neck back. With flexors, those are always tight when we're sitting because we're reaching forward with that head and that computer posture. So these things get short, right? The neck flexors. So we want to stretch the neck flexors. So I like to stretch one side at a time by getting the neck into extension, slight extension off to the side, and feel like you're taking your clavicle, meaning this bone right here, and you're almost taking your hands and you're dropping down, creating length through one side at a time. You can even take your hand and pull it down a little bit. Create length in an anchor here, and extend up, and you can take your jaw and close it. And create length through that neck, 60 to 90 seconds here. Switch sides. Here, take hand on the clavicle, drop it down, come up, play around with your jaw position. You're gonna feel a pull throughout your entire face as you're opening up this entire fascial plane through here. 60 to 90 seconds. You can close your eyes, feel that good stretch. Notice that we're kind of doing this, this extended but still semi-oblique angle where we have a slight rotation. This is important because the spine, on the back of your spine, you have these things called the spinous processes, those little ridges you can feel on the back. Your neck is not meant to be in dramatic extension back here, and it's kind of jamming those spinous processes together. So a rotation and extension is a little less of a dramatic of an extension. This stretch does stretch the neck flexors as well, but it's a little harder on some of the facet joints and the spinous processes. So I like that semi-rotated, each side 60 to 90 seconds. So that is the stretching portion. We've stretched the hip flexors, the piriformis, the pecs, the neck flexors. Now we're gonna go into the mobilizing of the spine. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab either a doorway or if you have a pull-up bar, and we're gonna decompress the spine. So again, when we're sitting, we're stacking a lot of pressure on top of the vertebrae and those discs in between. And that's why, as we age, aging is a process of more or less shrinking and dehydration. I know my grandma used to be 5'2", now she's like 4'9". She's gotten smaller and more dehydrated in time. And so we help her extend her spine like this. So we're gonna get into a nice dead hang right here. You're gonna relax, feel that spine lengthen. So you're grabbing onto the bar and you're just letting everything hang, creating length through that spine just like this. If you have an inversion table, one of those upside down tables that decompresses the spine, phenomenal. Use that as often as you can. If anyone sits more than, I would say, a couple hours a day, an inversion table would be an amazing tool to have in your house to decompress the spine. But a hanging works well too. You're just a little limited by how strong your grip is on the hang. And notice I still have some weight on the ground. I have my toes on the ground. I could do a dead hang just like this, but I find it's a little comfortable to do like a 75% hang where I still have my toes on the ground. It's taking a little weight off, allowing me to gently get into that stretch so it's not as much of a freak out, because you can absolutely be here, and if your feet are up, you can tense up. I want you to nice and relax. Feel that spine relax through. A couple deep breaths. You want to hang for around 60 to maybe 90 seconds. That's the hang. Now, we're going to begin to mobilize the spine even more. We mobilized it in that vertical plane there by creating some traction and length in the spine. Now we're going to mobilize a section of your spine called the thoracic spine. So you have your cervical spine, which is your neck, your thoracic spine, which basically is this section, and your lumbar spine, which is your low back. We're going to focus on the thoracic spine because when we're sitting, that T-spine, the thoracic spine, is rounded forward. And what we want to do is get that T-spine into extension. So we're going to get into extension by using a foam roller in a little extension exercise. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop down on the ground, we're gonna take it and we're gonna start closer at the top of the T-spine, so up near the top of your shoulder blades. You're gonna give yourself a big hug just like this to get those shoulder blades out of the way. And while you're on here on the foam roller, I want you to keep your hips down and extend your spine slightly. And we're gonna move to the next section, extend your spine. So I'm trying to take my spine and get it into extension. I'm gonna come a little lower, right here. I'm gonna extend my spine just like this. A little lower, extending my spine. Now notice, what I'm trying not to do as best I can is not arch my lower back. I could cheat this whole thing and I could just arch my lower back like this, and my butt is off the ground now, and now all the actions happen from my lower back. I want to keep that butt anchored, and the extension that does happen is coming from that middle part of my spine. I want to work up and down for about 60 to 90 seconds, creating extension in that spine right there. This is different than this. We're not just doing rolling passes. You can certainly do these as well, but this is not necessarily mobilization. It's more like myofascial tissue release work, which is also great, but what we're really looking for is this extension through the different segments of the T-spine. So we're gonna do that for around 60 to 90 seconds. And now we're gonna do two very classic and excellent yoga poses, the upward and the downward dog. And we're gonna do these in a particular flow between the two. So we're gonna start off with the upward dog, AKA this cobra move. So hands are right here, and what we're gonna do is keep those hips nice firmly planted. Hands are here, we're gonna press up, and guess what we're doing? Getting the spine into extension. If this is too much for you, mini cobra, right here, totally fine. What we want to do again, extend upwards You're here, I'm gonna go upward, just like this, find your comfort, and then we're gonna go transition to downward dog, which is this nice flow right through here. Heels are driving towards the floor. We're still extending that T-spine. That butt is right there. We're gonna flow upward dog. Inhale. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale. Exhale, downward dog. Probably around 10 passes of these. Inhale. This cobra upward dog, you're gonna find this is a good hip flexor stretch too. Exhale, downward dog. Create more length through that spine. Inhale. Exhale. So you could do as many reps in that flow as you feel that you want to do. You really can't go wrong with doing more of those. We're creating that extension in the spine. First we're hanging, then we're mobilizing on the foam roller, then the upward downward dogs. Finally, we're going to strengthen with two particular exercises. The first one is going to be a face pull, which is essentially taking any kind of cable apparatus and pulling open like this. What we're doing is we're activating the muscles around the shoulder blade that are necessarily need to get stronger because again, all this pulling forward from the sitting is opposed by the action of the retraction and the extension of the scapula. So we're gonna do face pulls. I'm gonna show you two variations. First, I have a simple little cable setup just like this. You can tie it to a doorknob, etc. I'm gonna grab it just like this, get a fairly wide grip, and I'm gonna pull these cables in towards my head as I'm externally rotating. So the motion's gonna be just like this. So here's the cable. I'm gonna retract my shoulder blades. I'm gonna open and pull. Just right under my chin, right on in. Open, pull, right on in. Boom, extending, right on in. You can play around with the pull angle. Now I'm pulling right to my face. Now I'm pulling a little higher to like my forehead. Now I'm pulling under my chin. The key thing is that your shoulder blades are coming together and rotating and opening up just like this. And we're gonna do 2 to 3 sets of anywhere from 8 to 15 reps. Again, just opening like this. If you don't have a cable and you want to do it here at a gym setup, you could use either 2 handles just like this, so I'll show you. So here again, scapula gets retracted right here, and I'm pulling, and I'm externally rotating just like this. And I'm coming right on in, pulling towards my face, externally rotating, my shoulder blades are activated. Here, 8 to 10 reps. Just like this. Additionally, you could do it with a single cable handle with something like this. I would attach that on there, grab both top sides just like this. I'd come here and I'd open up just like this. So many ways to do face pulls. I don't care which way you prefer. I do care that you do them. Final exercise we're gonna do in terms of strengthening, 2 to 3 sets, is a Superman or a Superwoman, which is a really simple body weight extension exercise. We're gonna get down on the floor. Get our thumbs on the floor, thumbs up just like this, and we're gonna move my thumbs up and my glutes up just like this, holding this extension right on down. Very small motion, very powerful. I'm activating my shoulders, my traps, my glutes, my spine, my spinal erectors, everything's activated, right on down. Up, pause for 1, 2, right on down. Up, 1, 2, right on down. Notice my head's not super up like this. My chin is in line with my spine. I'm coming up, pause, 1, 2, right on down. We're gonna do a couple sets, 2, 3 sets of anywhere from 5 to 15 reps. Same thing with face pulls, 2 to 3 sets, and that is your routine. So again, we stretched the hip flexors, the piriformis, the pecs, the neck flexors. Then we mobilized using the hanging, the T-spine extension on the foam roller, and the upward downward dog. And finally we strengthened with the face pulls and the Superman, Superwomans. You do this every other day, your back's gonna be moving better, you're gonna have less pain, and especially if you have a long day of sitting, this is what you either start or end your day with. Amazingly effective routine. I hope you found this valuable. If you like stuff like this, come hang out with us more often here at the Fit Father Project and Fit Mother Project YouTube channels. We literally have hundreds of videos on how to help you be healthy, whether that's losing weight, building muscle, getting your kids and your spouse healthy with you, eating healthier, stretching, exercise tutorials. We literally have hundreds of videos on our channel, and we're growing super fast. We'd love you to become a part of our community here on YouTube. So if you like this, hit subscribe, check the notification bell when we publish new videos. We'll notify you. We publish at least one new video every week, and we have hundreds on the channel, so I know you're gonna love that stuff. And if you like this and you found this valuable, give us a thumbs up, drop us a comment below. We put a lot of time into these videos. We love to hear your feedback, hear how this helped you. And if you have other stretches that have really helped you, comment below. We're all learning and getting better together, so we'd love to hear from you. So subscribe, and we have some cool free workouts and free meal plans in the description as well. You can check that out. Thanks for being here, my friend. We'll see you around the channels, and we'll talk to you very soon.